What's up, friends? It's it's Tuesday, April. I'm off my mic, so that probably sounded ridiculous. Hello, everyone. It's been a while. I'm attempting to find the button that turns on these lights behind me because it's a little dim back there, and I want to fix that. See if I can make it work on the first try, because that would be neat. Let's see here. Where is it? You? Look at you go. Let me get one back there. All right. I'm happy with that. Yeah, feeling pretty good. Pretty good about that. Let's see. These are all. None of those are hooked up. Okay. So let's see. I don't think I have told anybody that this stream is happening. So first and foremost, I'm just gonna drop a quick line and let people know that we are in fact live. So bear with me while I do that. That lives over here somewhere. Is this it? This is the one. This is today. Yeah, this is today. All right. So drop that in the Discord. And maybe throw another one on Blue Sky, because Blue Sky doesn't get any notifications. Someday I'm going to fix that. In fact, maybe today's the day. I've wanted to figure out how to do Blue Sky posts. Like, I want to syndicate to Blue Sky, because I think that's really cool, and I want to do it. And so I've been thinking about how that might work, what that looks like in practice. And so so maybe today's the day that we try to figure this out. Yeah. What's going on, Charles? How you doing? Vinny, Stahil, welcome in. What's everybody been up to? I feel like the last time I did one of these was a while back, actually. I think it was maybe two or 3 weeks ago. What's up, Amaterasu? Welcome in. Give me just I got some new toys. Maybe we can start by just unboxing those, because that's fun. These ones don't matter as much. These are accessories for we have a new gimbal that we're using for Web Dev Challenge, and these are like battery mounts and a monitor arm, so nobody cares about these. However, I got from the DOS keyboard team, I got a new setup, right? So they sent me, they've got a new keyboard out, and it is called the Delta Force 65. And these are fun little keyboards. They're very you know, they they got a bit of a tough vibe, but you know, tough isn't always bad. Every once in a while I like to pretend I'm tough. And so let's maybe dig in here and see what this thing has inside. So they sent me the keyboard itself, and this is one of 4 colorways. I got the Cyber camo. They're all camo. So I got Cyber because that felt true to who I am. You know, if I'm hiding anywhere, it's on the internet. And then they sent me their desk mat, which is kind of cool. And they sent me one of those really neat cables that I always see keyboard people have. So let's see. Doesn't require a driver. That's pretty dope. Detailed key maps, RGB. Okay, so none of these are things that I need to worry about. I'm not changing switches, so I'm not going to worry about that. All right, let's take a look at this thing. So this is the keyboard. And so as you can see, it is it's going to blend into Cyber backgrounds. And it's got, I assume this is a volume knob. Oh, it's clicky. I like that. And these are like, let's see, how does it sound? Nice and clicky. I don't know what, I don't remember what switches this has on it. I wonder if it says. These out. All right, so this is a key puller, and this is a USB-C. However, they gave me the fancy USB-C, so I'm going to leave that one in there. I'm going to take this out, put these back in, and close this up. Right, and then this is the what's it called? The aviator cable. So an aviator cable, kind of a cool little thing. So it's one of these, right? Which I think is a really cool thing. And then it's got this other piece that's like the extension side. And so if I'm right about that, I think the way this works, out of the way. I think the way this works is that I put this side on the keyboard, right? So it's like, plug that in there. And then, hey, look at me. I'm a cool guy with a cool keyboard. Can everybody, can't quite see that keyboard, but anyways, it looks like that. And then you've got this other piece, which is like run it to your USB dock or whatever. And so if twisty broke. If I can get this undone, there it goes. And then they doubled it up for safety, as you should. All right, so we'll make the trash pile over here so I don't forget to throw it all away. And then I'm gonna plug it in on this side, I guess. Just plug that right into the keyboard, right into the laptop, I should say. And then check this out. It's got this kind of neat like 5-pin connector thing. So you get it lined up like that, and then you actually tighten this thing down in a very hardcore feeling way. But then once you've done that, we have, oh, I got to allow it first. Keyboard assistant, shift key on the left side, shift key on the right side. It's an ANSI keyboard, I think. Oh no. How does it work? Oh, dang. Okay, this is going to take some getting used to. The Command and Alt are swapped on this. I don't know how that works. So in my, like on a Mac keyboard, this is Command and this is Alt, and this is Command and this is Alt. So I'm probably going to have to fix that. But that is the volume knob. Sick. That's dope. Okay. Am I able to use a normal keyboard anymore? I am. But, well, I mean, yes, because I work on my laptop at home and I don't have a peripheral for it or anything. And yeah, it's interesting because it like doesn't feel, muscle memory is an interesting thing because like when I'm on a regular keyboard, my muscle memory is fine. And when I'm on this keyboard, my muscle memory is fine. So it's kind of it's like a different setup. It's like two different parts of my brain. But anyways, yeah. So let's see. This is a mechanical keyboard. It is a DOS keyboard. That is correct. And they also sent me this mat, and so I want to look at the mat. We'll see. We'll see. The mat might be a little more tough than I'm going for, but maybe not. Like it might be exactly what I'm looking for. So we're gonna pop this out. Take a look. Feels nice. So it's a nice quality. It's got the rubber on the bottom, right? So this is the bottom side. It's a good size. I like that. Okay, and here's what the front looks like. Look at that. Now the trick with this one is that when you put this down and then you set the keyboard on it, you're not going to be able to see the keyboard. So if you're not a good touch typist, this could be a risky choice. Let's try it. Let's see how it feels. So I'm going to get this out of the way, get you out of the way. Let's set you over here. Then I'll pull this is my usual leather mat. Just going to throw it on the floor. Why not? This is how I respect my things. Okay, so there's our, oh wait, there's a logo on it, so we'll switch that around so it's right side up. So there's the keyboard mat. Mouse still works when it's on there. There's the keyboard on there. This looks kind of nice. Can I get an extra camera? Let me see if I can get an extra camera on here and do the MacBook, the Blitz phone camera. Let's see if this works. Yeah, there it is. So let me get this on the screen. So this is what it looks like. You can see it's got the camo thing, and then it's also got this RGB going. So here's the part that was throwing me. This is the command key and this is the option key. So I'm going to need to swap those to use this keyboard, because otherwise that's really going to throw me off. And then this is the volume knob, and like can you see how it's kind of like popping? So it's tactile. It feels good when you move it, because it like pops from point to point. It's like tunk 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 tunk. So that's really nice. Got a couple extra buttons here. It's actually got arrow keys, which I like. They've got it's a number row, but not a function row. So you need to use this function button if you use the F keys, which I typically don't. But yeah, look how cool this cable is. The coolest part, I think. Like, I love these little aviator cables, and so this is like sealed on. You got to actually unscrew this to disconnect it. It's just cool stuff. I like it. So I have feet. I do. I have feet, and I'm wearing shoes. Look at that. So okay, let me take this one off the stage. Get back here. Okay. So then can I disconnect this? Let me just stop that camera. Yes. Yeah. Okay. And then what do we do then? All I see is a board and some lights. This was the risk. This was the risk of getting a camo keyboard. Is now you just gotta know where it is. You kind of like, all right. There's some keys. But okay, so this because I don't have the command and option swapped, I feel like that is going to be a problem for me today. So I'm not going to use this one. I'm going to set it up here. I'm going to pull this one back around, and we're gonna work off the Moonlander. I do, however, think I'm sold on this mat because I like the way it feels. It's like the leather is also really nice, but this one feels fast. I feel like this one's gonna make my brain work better. So yeah. Anyways, this is the DOS keyboard. Let me throw up a quick link to them because that was they sent that to me, and that was very nice of them. So I appreciate it. Thank you, DOS keyboard. And let's drop this link right here. And let's put Discord into streamer mode because that was loud as heck. Streamer mode, there we go. All right, so that should make less noise, I hope. And good. Okay. All right, we're in business. All right, everybody. So what's everybody up to? What's going on? Got me on the headphones, gonna cut the grass. All right, so I'll try to be very descriptive. Yeah, I also, when I switched to the Moonlander, I really do like the Moonlander Moonlander. I also, look, you see my missing Moonlander key? I think I saw it the other day, and I just have to climb into the back of my car to go find it, where I think it's like shoved in a crevice somewhere. I think I when I was moving offices, I popped it out. But yeah, muscle memory has built-in context switching. I think it kind of does, which is really interesting. What's up, Wesley? How you doing? Internally screaming, good. Crunching on a work deadline and on talking slides for view comp. So not much. You're having a light day. Well, good luck with that. That's a lot. That's not nothing. Okay, let's work on something. I'm gonna take this jacket off because it feels a little warm in here. I'm wondering if I should turn off maybe open a window or something. I think I will. I'm gonna crack a window. Give me just a sec. Okay, much better. So here's what I think I want to do today. I'm going to let me share my screen, and we're going to do this one and swap it over to this better sharing setup. And let me call my shot. What are we going to do today? I would like to build a bot that posts to Blue Sky. That's what I would like to accomplish today. So let's get that banner up there and let's see if we can make it happen. You just got your first Angular project. Scared you haven't mastered Angular. Spilled coffee on your keyboard, so it's stuck in Java. You know what? I hate it when my keyboard gets stuck in Java mode. That's the worst. Okay, so here's the thing I would like to do. Let me get over into this. Nope, not that one. This view here. So Blue Sky has the ability to like syndicate posts, and I think you see it with who does it? Like maybe the AP. I actually don't know if this is syndicated, but like they automatically post when things go live. And I was thinking about this because I actually spend a decent amount of time going back and forth between all of the different platforms and like posting things. And a lot of times I forget stuff. And there's stuff that I don't post because I don't have, I mean, I guess the short answer, I don't have my shit together enough to remember to do it. So like if I write a blog post, if I am on a podcast, if I have a new video on Code TV, if I go live, whatever it is, I would like to just put up a note like, hey, new post, and a link to the post. And because Blue Sky doesn't punish links, I think that's a pretty cool thing to do. So the goal then would be let's maybe start with let's start with a list of goals here. So we're gonna, my newsletter, we'll shut that one down. This is the Code TV site. Do I want it to live on here, or do I want it to be its own little bot? Why don't we start it as its own little bot, and maybe I'll move it into somewhere else. And then close down this one as well. And that leaves us with an empty project. And so to make that work, we're going to, oh my goodness, we're going to open up a profile. And we'll go to GitHub. This one's going to live on, I guess we'll make it on my personal because I'm not, like I want to build it as like a utility so that other people can use it as well if they want to. And there's probably a utility that already does this that I could just use, but I kind of want to learn how AT Proto works. So AT Proto is the underlying thing that powers posting. So Blue Sky is like a front end that consumes the AT Proto feed. And there are other websites that do that. And the nice thing about that is it means that I can theoretically use AT Proto to power my blog. And like Blue Sky might not pick up the posts that I put on my own what's it called, a personal data server. Yeah, personal data server. But you can, if it ever were to start to, then anything that you've posted on your website would suddenly become like a Blue Sky post. And that's pretty dope. So roll up the sleeves and let's call a shot here. So we're gonna make a new thing, and this is gonna be AT Proto post automation. Sure. And we might rename that later when we figure out what it actually is, but for now, this will do. So we can close this one, and instead we're going to open up this one. And so as you can see, this is an empty repo. There's nothing over in here. So I'm going to start out with a README. And here's what I would like to do. So as kind of a AT Proto post automation. We'll just make a to-do list. And our goals are going to be, one, I would like to be able to post as a given user on Blue Sky given using the API. So that's kind of like thing one. Is this how you do that's how you do it to do. And so the second thing I want to do is I would like to listen for posts from a set of sources. Automatically post new post. Okay, so that's sort of the set of goals for today. Now I don't know how to do that. I am convinced that it is possible, but I don't exactly know how we're going to do it. So let's start with post using the Blue Sky API. So in order to do that, let's see, post to Blue Sky via API. Creating a post. All right, and so what this looks like here, whoops, make this a little bit bigger. I'll drop these docs here. Don't apps like Buffer help with syndication to all the socials? They do. However, Buffer charges something like $30 a month per social site. So if I wanted to do like Instagram, Twitter, Blue Sky, LinkedIn, is there another one? That might be it. But that's already $120 a month. And is that worth it? It's probably worth it. Like, honestly, if I work out my hourly and how much time I spend doing these things, like, probably that is a worthwhile spend. It is also very hard to like swipe the credit card for that, just because it just feels like, oh my God, just to post to LinkedIn. And also, as a developer, doing things the hard way is in my blood. So let's see how this works. So in the thing, we have a JSON object. All right. So we send in a type, and the type corresponds to what I'm assuming is from the AT Proto, like a lexicon type. I assume that's kind of like something unique that we do to say this is my Blue Sky type. So if I were to create my own, I could do like an app dot code TV dot whatever, and that way it would be something that people would have to choose to consume, but it would be on the AT Proto feed or whatever. If I understand that all correctly. Then we have some text, okay, the text of the post and when it was created, okay, that makes sense. We have the AT Proto API, and that lets us create an agent using Blue Sky. We want to do an agent login, an identifier, and a password. You got to throw your actual password in there. I don't know if I like that. And then you post. Oh, and it does this part for you, so you don't have to like make the call to the API. Okay, that makes sense. And it responds with the URI of the post and a content hash. So we'll have to figure out how we kind of take all these apart, but I assume the DID is who you are. This is kind of like the API or the type identifier, and then the ID of the post, content hash of the post. So this is just to make sure that the content hasn't changed or something if you wanted to do integrity checks, I guess. So you can set language. Mention. So if we want to do a mention, we have to include facets. So we do rich text, mentions AT Proto, and once we detect those facets, it'll turn this into a mention, I guess. And that's where our facets come from. Okay, so that's fine. And I guess this also becomes a link when you do the thing, so that would include all that. So that's maybe something to look at in the just like the raw API. Kind of wish they'd showed all that. Maybe that's here. Okay, so Blue Sky does not use a markup language, uses the concept of rich text facets. Look at the string you want to decorate. Number the positions in the string. Okay, so we're blowing it up and turning it into an array. And then we say, oh, this is okay. So you're actually deciding like slice 6 to 15. Interesting. Okay. So kind of the fun thing about this is that's how sometimes when you see on Blue Sky linked text, that's what this is. So we're saying take this phrase, index 6 to index 15, and apply this link to it. So then that makes this site clickable, which is pretty dope because it allows you to sort of make the thing function like it would on the web, which is nice instead of just having to like throw in a plain old thingy. You got links, you got mentions, you've got tags, and so that would be a hashtag. Okay, I'm with it. So then we've got replies, quote posts, and embeds. So if we are replying, we have the, let's see. The root would be the very first post in the thread, I assume, and then the parent would be the post that you're actually replying to. So if you're like 4 posts down, the first post would be the root, and then the one that you've actually hit reply to would be the one that you're replying to. Okay, that makes sense. Quotes, you are embedding an actual like post record. Okay, that makes sense. Images, you throw in as a, okay, so you've got a type, images. Okay, easy enough. And then you got to blob this. And you get that through, they have a helper for that. So you have your agent upload blob. Is that a built-in, or is that might be a little hand waving there? And then complete post record containing 2 images, good. And then website card embeds is external. And then you get to add a thumbnail, which is a reference to, wait, how does that work? Rendered preview of the website link, including the image thumbnail blob. Here's an example of embedding. Oh, and that's just this part here. You got to do the data blob thing. Okay, that's fine. I understand that. I kind of understand that. Okay, I'm here. I'm with it. I can see this working. Let's see. Necessary to learn UI UX as a web developer if you're working solo, and what would be the appropriate pricing? I mean, pricing is a whole, we don't have time for that today. So the shorthand is the price is whatever you can get paid for it, right? And the advice that I got is the price should be the highest number you can say with a straight face, and you should be confident that you can deliver on whatever you're pricing. Like, that's really kind of how that works. In terms of learning UI UX, is it necessary? No. Is it helpful? 1000% yes. Like, especially as a freelancer, the more you can do without needing help or contractors or, you know, someone else to handle part of the work, the more valuable you become, because you effectively become a one-stop shop for your clients, where they can say, hey, can you make me this? And your answer is almost always yes. And without that, you know, if you don't know UI UX and somebody says, hey, can you make me this? And you say, yes, if you get me designs. Yes, if you find somebody to put together the layout or whatever it is. It's not bad, right? That's a perfectly acceptable way to be. And lots of people don't learn UI UX, and they've got great careers. However, it adds 1 point of friction to working with you. So the more you can level up across the entire spectrum, and that's from sales to business to marketing to development to UI UX to design to any of it, everything that's involved in the entire life cycle of building for the web. The more you know about any one of those things, the more well-rounded your skill set is, and therefore the more valuable to a potential client. So that's kind of the way to rock that. Yeah, learning UI UX right now. Good to know. Excellent. Vinny, thank you. Yes, y'all, if you're watching on YouTube, please do take a moment to like the video, maybe subscribe to the channel, maybe leave a comment, because algorithms are like that, and they want to know that you're enjoying what you're watching, and your interactions with the content are how they determine those signals. So, you know, in the immortal words of I thought I had something funny to say, and I have nothing funny to say. Just click a button for me. Thanks. Bye. What's up, Rhombus? How you doing? So let's take a crack at this. Let's see if I can get this figured out. I really do want to figure out, though, the auth because it's kind of wild that we would need to, like, I really don't, it feels bad to have to put your username and password in there. Let's see. This is a guide to implementing AT Proto OAuth clients the hard way. What does this mean, though? Okay, am I able to set up Blue Sky OAuth and then post with it? Like, come on, y'all. 2 types of auth posted or supported on the AT Proto network: client server auth and service to service auth. Service auth is used when making a request from the PDS to another service on behalf of the user. Service auth tokens take the form of an asymmetrically signed JOT. So this then check the audience of the provided service JOT. Man. Maybe let's just look at the HTTP reference for a quick second because I want to see feed post. Should be up here, feed. Surf post, get posts. Get profile. Public endpoints which don't require authentication. So I want to app view. Yikes. Okay. So this feels like a lot. And I'm relatively certain this isn't what I want. Let's look at the examples and see. You just got to throw your username and password in there. That's kind of wild that that you have to do that. Feels like the sort of thing that I would like to solve differently. Let's see. Hey, thanks for the kind words. And yes, if you didn't notice, we just put a new Web Dev Challenge episode up this morning at 6 a.m. my time. So that's just shy of 4 hours ago. It was a wild episode. It's, Adam Argyle is there being 1000% Adam Argyle. We had some really creative apps. We had a really challenging like a challenging concept to overcome with like temporal is the sponsor. And if you've never used temporal, it's like a workflow manager. And if you've never worked in that style, it can be pretty headbendy to get used to. So definitely a um, definitely a tricky one, right? And you can see that in the episode where people were struggling to get their heads around the concept, and then you kind of see the light bulb go on for everybody in the episode. It's a lot of fun, and I think this hackathon is going to be a lot of fun too. I hope everybody decides to give it a shot because it's going to be really fun. I haven't posted the hackathon yet, but if you want to get into the Discord, which I will throw a link up to the Discord right now, codetv.link/Discord. There. Get into that, and you'll be able to see when we post the hackathon, which I think will be later today. I'm going to try to get it done today. We'll see. I'm a little busy. How do I feel about working with family? Worked with my mom's cousin. He's difficult at times, but he has already bought 3 custom sites off me. Each time I wish I charged more. This is a tough one. My policy is that I don't give discounts. So I will work with family, but I will work with family in the same way that I work with everybody else. And the reason for that is every time I create exceptions to a process, or I give somebody a big discount, or any of those things, what ends up happening is, because it's outside of the normal flow, it starts to become a challenge. And we're not getting things done, things are slipping, where it's not in the usual process. I don't have the budget to do things that I would normally do, like hire a contractor, and so I'm trying to fit it in my free time, and all of those things then lead to the project taking longer than it should. Crows don't like this story. Leads to the project taking longer than it should, me being kind of resentful because I didn't charge enough on the project. I have to prioritize things that pay better. And then the person who got the deal is kind of feeling like, hey, come on, like I need my thing. But they also feel like they can't like push you because they got a great deal. So it puts everybody in this weird position of not being able to approach it the way that you would want to, which is from a business standpoint. I have paid you for a service. I would like that service to be completed. And I'm providing a service. I would like to be paid for that service. So I will work with family, but I do charge full price, and I put them through the same process as everybody else, strictly because I want it to feel fair. And I don't want to get into that thing where, like they feel like they can't give me feedback because I did them a favor by giving them a discount. And I don't want to be in a situation where I can't do the project the way I would normally do it because they didn't pay me enough for me to cover the cost of that sort of thing. So, yeah, we'll work with family, won't do family discounts or things like that. Regarding touch of all things involved in web development, won't there be burnouts at times during dev? What's your view on having shared responsibility? I mean, this is a very, like, burnout is not something that happens because of the specifics of a project. Burnout is something that happens because we get out of alignment with the work that gives us energy. For many of us, we really like this work. And so if we're doing something that we're excited about, it's easy for us to work a lot, kind of nonstop. And that's not necessarily healthy, but it doesn't make us feel burned out, right? We aren't dreading work. We're not wishing we could do literally anything else. We're like excited. We're solving problems. We're doing things that are fun. It's kind of like doing puzzles, And we get sick of it, but we don't like, I don't know. Burnout for me was this feeling of I would literally rather do anything else other than continue working on the things that I was supposed to work on. It was the thought of opening my laptop filled me with this sense of like miserable dread, where I was like, oh my God, I have to do this again. Like, how can I get out of doing this? And then it was just sort of like my brain didn't work anymore. I was so overwhelmed and fried from trying to force myself to do things that I didn't like or care about, that I couldn't, when I was off work, I just wanted to sit there. I didn't work on side projects, or I didn't have energy to go do fun stuff. I was literally I was like a husk. Um, so I don't think that comes from any particular project. I think that comes from putting ourselves in situations where we're working at odds with ourselves. So I can't answer that question about like the specifics of a project and what will or won't cause burnout. What I will say is that as we're working on projects, we tend to have a good sense of how we feel at any given moment. And so if you are feeling like you're starting to burn out, or if you just want to be proactive and understand what type of work you should be seeking, it can be really helpful to keep a kind of feelings log as you're working and say, okay, I worked on design and I felt bad. I worked on code and I felt good. I worked on sending emails and I felt good, because apparently that's a thing that people can be into. So whatever it is, but like keep track of like what your mood is. And when you have to do a project, what do you feel about doing the different steps in that project? And feel free to be pretty granular about it. And what I've noticed is that you'll start to build this map. I actually have a whole post about this. Let me find it. It's here. This one. This post is an exercise that I have people do when they report to me, or if I'm just encouraging somebody to make different choices. By doing this, you start to kind of get a map of, these are the things that make me happy and that I'm good at, and things that you are both good at and enjoy doing are the things where you have the highest earning potential, because you're going to be able to be consistent and resilient, and you're going to deliver, and people are going to really enjoy working with you because you're excited to do the work. All of that leads to you being able to build out a better career. And if you can find the things, so that's like the things that are up here. This is like, I hate this, I love this, I'm terrible at this, I'm great at this. And if you can find the things that fall in this quadrant where you are both good at it and enjoy doing it, this is where you want most of your time to be. If you are really good at it, but you hate it, that a lot of people accidentally end up in that space because it's good to feel useful, but you kind of become the damage shield for your team, where everybody dumps the garbage on you, and that's kind of where you go. And then there's stuff that you're really good at, or you really enjoy, but you're terrible at, right? And that's the kind of stuff that you don't want to do that all the time, because that's going to start sending the wrong signals to clients that you're just like not very good. But if you can pull a few of those things forward so that you're doing stuff that you enjoy and you're improving at it, you will eventually draw it up into this quadrant where you are both good at it and enjoy doing it. And you definitely don't want to be doing things that you're bad at and don't enjoy. Like I know, for example, I'm very bad at doing like repetitive process stuff. And if I try to do it, I will almost always miss something, get distracted, screw it up, and it ends up causing a lot of pain. I also hate it, like with my entire heart. And so having somebody who can handle the stuff that's down here, this is delegation. Like this should be delegation emergency. Because you should never be doing things that you hate and that you're bad at. Like that's just a great way to set everybody up for failure. So anyways, let's see. How do you overcome the feeling of, when will this project get completed while building something? I have embraced the idea that I will never finish anything because I always have more ideas. So I try to think of it more in steps. Like today, we are probably not going to finish everything that we wrote down, especially if I keep yapping. But I bet we can get this step done. And if we get that step done, I'm pretty happy. And then I can come back to this later, and we can start looking at additional things and see, like, maybe we can set up some kind of a listener that's looking at my RSS feed, or looking, doing whatever to figure out when there's new content. And then we can use these two things together to coordinate and send posts automatically, right? So stuff like that is possible. It's great. But like, as soon as this gets built, I'm immediately going to have more ideas for it. And so this project's not going to be done. It's just going to be like step by step, we can complete it. And I think if we try to approach things like that, like everything is sort of a process and you just take a couple more steps in the process, then it feels a little bit better. What advice would I give to somebody starting a coding tutorial YouTube channel, and how hard is it to make an audience in YouTube? The thing about YouTube is that it is both very, very hard and very, very easy at the same time. And I wish it was easier to explain what I mean by that. The thing about YouTube is that if what you are doing is making things that you wish existed, and you are having fun, and you're doing it in a way that is sort of centering the person watching it, like taking yourself and thinking about, you know, who you were a week ago or who you were a year ago, and saying, okay, what did I miss? Like, what made my life hard? Now I want to make stuff that makes me from a year ago have more success and like get further faster. Then you make videos in a way that you enjoy, that you're having fun with, and do that consistently. You will grow an audience 100%, because you're centering your audience. You are thinking about a specific person who needs guidance, and you're enjoying yourself, which comes through in the videos, and you're consistent because it's fun and you can be consistent. It's really hard to fail if that is true. Figuring out how to make that true is really, really hard, because finding a way to do videos that you enjoy is deceptively challenging. It's really easy to look at video and say like, oh, all videos are the same, but there's a huge difference between making a tutorial, right? And if the tutorial is super polished to be short and it just goes point to point to point to point, those are very different from a 9-hour tutorial with no cuts, where somebody is just building a thing straight up. Those both are very different from somebody who is doing a review of some code, or like a comparison of two items of code. Those are very different from explainers. Those are very different from trying to make like a comedy skit. And all of it is like, some of those things are more or less fun for different people, and you'll find the things that you specifically are good at and that you can do frequently and not feel like you hate it, and that'll be the thing that you should focus on. Because like, I like tutorials. I think I'm good at making tutorials, but it takes me forever. It takes me a really long time to make a tutorial, just because that's not the thing that's like my default competence. Um, and so, as a result, I don't make very many because it takes me forever to get them done, and the level of effort is so high, and my own frustration with like how long it takes me to get them done is also so high, that it just creates these little friction points that make me not want to do it at all, and that's a bummer. However, I really like doing these, and so I can do these every week when I'm home, and I really like doing Learn with Jason, so I can do those every week when I'm home. I really like doing the Web Dev Challenge, so I do those as often as I can. And those are all things that I've discovered over, 10 years of making different types of content, longer now, Jesus. But like, when I found the things that I was particularly built to make, the audience was there. Like, people want to watch stuff that is made by people that they feel a connection to and that they enjoy being around, and that they, like, I don't know. I feel like we sort of gravitate toward folks that we would hope to emulate. And so we look for content that makes us feel the way that we want to feel. And if you are somebody who's making content that's, out to help the person that you were become the person that you are with less pain, that's somebody I want to hang out with, right? And so that builds an audience. Let's see. Is it not a good idea to use ChatGPT for helping you code? Here's the thing. It is a good idea to use the tools that are available to you. It is an extremely bad idea to stop using your brain. So if what you're doing is you're letting the AI assistant help you solve coding problems, and then you're taking the time to understand how the stuff works and why, why it is the way it is. That's great. It lets you move faster. It helps you kind of see how different problems get solved. It helps you think through different approaches to coding, and all of that levels up your skill set, and that's good. If you are just tab auto completing and not even examining what's coming out the other side, then you're not using your brain, right? It's the same as if you tell ChatGPT, like, respond to all my emails, and you just copy paste what comes out and don't even look at it. Like, you're not using your brain. You're not going to get good results out of that, and it's not going to make you better. And it's not going to help the people who get those like generalized emails. So I think, the trick with tools is that the tools are there to improve you as the maker, as the doer. If you're expecting those tools to take over and do the doing for you, then you're going to find yourself in a situation where, you've basically become dependent on a tool that you don't really understand beyond how to tell it, like, make a thing for me. And if somebody takes that tool away, you're unable to continue. And I think that is a very big risk. But that's not an AI specific risk. That's an everything risk. If you assume you can get away without learning how something works, that will always come back and bite you in the ass. It's just very, very difficult to have a long and successful career if your strategy is to refuse to learn things. So as long as you're continuing to learn, as long as you're using it as something to augment you and improve you, then I think it's great. I think you should use it. Should I learn Django? Sure, if that's what people are buying. Like, there's no like, there are projects in Django, and using them is great. There are projects in Angular, there are projects in Java, there are projects in PHP, there are like any language that's out there, you can find work doing. So I think it's more, what are you learning it because there's a project that you need to learn Django for? Then great. If you're learning it just in case, why? Like, to what end, right? I think the thing that I have found is that learning frameworks just in case can be fine. And if you've got the time, learning more and more about different frameworks is great. Learning how the underlying languages work is probably more valuable, because then you can step into any framework and you'll feel pretty okay about it. And I think but I mean, again, if it's for a job, yeah, learn it. If it's not for a job and you're like wondering if maybe there will be a job, there are jobs. Are those the jobs you want? And if yes, then sure, go for it. If they're not, then maybe look at what's the job you want? Maybe learn that thing. Let's see. Is it selfish to start a YouTube channel mainly to learn the tech stack rather than to teach it? No. You're doing something for you, that's totally fine. Like, a lot of people stream as just an excuse to, like, block off 2 to 3 hours to learn something, and I think that's great. Let's see. Been in a heavy flow state. Nice, Fuzzy. That's great. I'm not ignoring your library. I don't think that's probably the right thing to look through right now. Let's see. I just tune into the Ikigai top. I mean, yeah, yes and no, maybe. I don't know, man. I think the thing that's really, really challenging is so many of these things just come down to trying to find where you specifically fit. Yeah. You need milestones and goals and to-do lists. I think yes, and like the tricky part about milestones and goals and stuff is that sometimes they can become a pursuit for their own sake, as opposed to a way of organizing big thoughts. Yeah, Lazar, like, making stuff you need is really, really good. I think that is fabulous. Um, find an idea of what you want to make, document and explore the space, get notes and ideas. Yeah, yeah, exactly. Like just keep on rocking. Um, uploading consistency is hard to impossible. That is also very true, and this is why it's so important to try to find the formats that work for you. For me, the Learn with Jason format of 90 minutes of live pair programming every Thursday was about the only sustainable path for me to regularly post, because if I tried to do something edited, zero chance I was going to get it done. If I didn't have the money to hire an editor, I also didn't exactly know what I would edit out of it. Um, so it was either go live or end up doing nothing. And so for me, structuring it to be live ended up being the right thing for me. Like I enjoy the live aspect. I enjoy the conversations. I enjoy the excitement of trying to figure it out as we go along. Um, so to me, that I think is really good. Um, regarding the Blue Sky bot name and password, you can create an app password in your account security settings. Oh, that should be in the dang docs. Okay, that's amazing. All right. Let's see. All right. So why don't we actually get back to the task at hand here? Let's you know what, before we do that, I've been trying to hydrate because we were in London and I didn't drink any water for like a week because nobody in Europe and the UK has water. It's shocking behavior. But it also means that I now have to use the bathroom every like 10 seconds. So give me just a second. I'll be back in 30 seconds and we'll dive into this AT Proto stuff. Okay. Um, let's do this. So we're looking at oh, when did I change the name? I changed the name in, was it 2 months ago? Maybe 3 months ago. Um, and yeah, I changed the name because we're doing more than just like me stuff now. Like we've got shows that I'm barely in. And so it felt weird to keep calling it Learn with Jason. Also, we've got a program called Learn with Jason, so we needed something for like the overarching entity. And so that is Code TV. Um, under the rock bed is limestone, which creates scum. Gross. Yeah, London's water is not my favorite water, but Londoners are actually just scummy people. Um, thinking of building and launching AI PowerPoint software. My advice is that if you build something that you know people need, then the hardest part is always going to be marketing. Um, because just about anything can make you a little bit of money. The hard part is that there's no such thing as passive income. Once you build the thing, you then have to do a ton of work to position and sell the thing and make sure that people are continually aware of it and continually purchasing it. So can be a great idea, but the code is not actually the hard part. With any of those like indie hustle kind of things. I do like them. I think indie dev, is that what it's called? The indie dev thing? Indie hackers, launching small projects and stuff. The reason most of them don't make any money is because they keep building stuff and they never market any of the stuff they build. And that is unfortunately, if you want to have a business, the hardest part of running a business is convincing somebody that they should give you $1 for the thing that you did. And there, no amount of coding is going to make that case for you. Yes. If you would like to get alerts, I have. We post in the Discord whenever we go live, so that you don't ever miss it. But you have to opt into those alerts. I don't just like spam the whole channel. There's a video alerts role that you can opt into, so that we only tag people who want to get tagged. I try not to be too noisy in the Discord. Like I'll post it. I'll add everyone for like big things, but I don't know. We maybe do that once a month, if then. Or getting them to check out a library on GitHub. All right, post it in the Discord. Yeah. All right. Let's build some shit. Okay, here we go. So the way that we're gonna do this is we are going to so I guess we're gonna start by going to Blue Sky, which is over here. And then we need to figure out app passwords. Oh, that's so cool. Okay. Please enter a unique name. I think this is going to show in plain text, so let me. Well, I'll set it up and then I'll like hide it before I actually generate it. And this is going to be called what did I call this? We'll call this like post bot. I don't need it to have access to direct messages. So when I click this, I'm pretty sure that's going to show me a password. So I'm going to, yep, it did. Here is your app password. So I'm going to drop this into a .env real quick. And that .env needed to have Blue Sky username, Blue Sky password. Blue Sky password. There's that password, and then my username is. Do we want to do this on my public account? Maybe we should set up a dummy account to try with, huh? Don't think I don't notice and care. I appreciate it very much because I am not good at it. I could have been. I could have been a giant streamer if I was just better at every part of this. Okay. Yeah, you know what? Okay, here's what we're gonna do. I actually do want to set up. I want to set up a new Blue Sky account. Oh, shit. All right. Well, we're gonna delete that one. Fine. And I'm gonna set up a new Blue Sky account. Switch account. Add another account. We're gonna call this one. We'll do see if it lets me get away with that. And birth date. Does that need to? So we'll just pick one that's like way back so that it doesn't tell me that I'm too young or something. And this is going to be JBot. Is that allowed? Dang. JBot 2. Click the images of the animals that this body part belongs to. Where is a duck? Penguins? Come on, man. Okay. Give your profile a face. Yeah, that's fine. And then we're going to continue. Continue. Let's go. Fine. All right, so now what I can do is I can create a new app password here. And we're going to say bot testing. All right, and then let's just copy this out. And since this is a test account, I don't really care. And the username was what now? Do I need the... Oh. Whoa. Okay, so let's... What? Didn't I already do this? Yeah, okay. So now we've got our JBot here. And I guess we're going to find out if that has the at in front of it or not. And then we need the AT Proto API. Okay, so let's npm init. And then we're going to npm install. And that was AT Proto API. And if you're wondering why I'm like long-handing this instead of copy pasting, it's because I really like, wait, what the fuck is process? That seems like a built-in, right? Process.end, yeah, that's not. Okay. All right, so then we're going to create a new package. But so I think I didn't finish my thought. The reason that I do longhand is because it helps it stick in my brain. And when I copy paste stuff, I don't retain a lot of it. So when I'm learning, like, you know, if I'm trying to go fast, like we're on an episode of Learn with Jason or something, copy pasting is fine because sometimes we've got 40 minutes to go and we need to get something done. And the point isn't to like retain every keystroke. It's more to get through the concept. But in a situation where I'm trying to learn, thinking through, okay, what is this package? What does it do? All of those things tend to help me internalize what's happening a little bit better, and that it improves my memory of stuff, my recall later on when somebody's talking about what the thing is. You know, I had somebody ask me a couple weeks ago, like, how do you know all these CSS properties? It's because I type them out longhand, and they've all stuck in my brain because I repeatedly do that rather than copy pasting stuff or like letting because I could also probably have the Copilot type a lot of that stuff for me, but in a learning environment, it just helps me to do it the hard way. Your mileage may vary, but I like it. So then we're going to create index.ts, maybe. The below script will post every 3 hours. Now, I don't necessarily want to post every 3 hours, so we might not use this cron job bit, in fact. So what we'll do instead is I'm going to import this blue sky agent. Deprecated. How is this deprecated? Like, what? These are your docs. Okay, let's go look at the package AT Proto API. AT Proto agent? That's probably more right. Also, why don't you say it's marked as deprecated and tell me what to do and use ATP agent instead? You got to scroll down. Okay, we got ATP agent. Then we need to set up .env. That gives us our environment variables. And then why do I need... I'm very confused by this one. This doesn't seem like a thing that I've ever had to deal with. Let's process from process. Why are you yelling? I need to like install node types or something. On node 23, so that should work. Module node process it. I don't understand node process.env in TSM. How to use .env. Is better. I want that instead. Okay. And then can I just like console.log process.m.bluesky username? It doesn't like that. Let's install the type definitions and see if maybe that fixes it. And it does. Okay. And then I guess let's just run this and see what happens. So node index.ts, are you going to just work? No, I got to do a thing. Type stripping is an experimental feature. So to turn that on, no, it did work. Add type module to the package JSON. Okay. Look at it go. Cool. Okay, so we've got our environment variables and we didn't have to do whatever. I don't know what was going on in those docs. That didn't make any sense to me. So, okay. So now what we want to do is let's get into actually posting something. And so to do that, we're using bsky social is our setup. And so we're going to create a new agent. So const agent equals new ATP agent. And our service is going to be bsky.social. And then I don't think we need any of those, so we'll leave them out. Store the session data for reuse. I don't think we need that part. This we don't need. We need to log in. So we're going to await agent login. And we've got the identifier is going to be process.m.bluesky username. And this is going to be password. Is that wrong? No, I know those exist, but I guess what we can do is we can just do a check and say if process.m dot blue sky username, and we'll say console dot error no blue sky username provided, add blue sky username in .env. Do the same thing for the password. And then I would like to fail if either of these. This is kind of junky, but whatever, we're gonna live with it. Whoops. We're going to throw new error. Okay, so now these should be set. They believe they're set now, good. And once we've got that, we are going to post. And let's just actually have it do this. Await agent post. And so we have, the type is already set. So we need text. And this is first post using the AT Proto API. Created at is going to be, do we have a date.now? What format is this supposed to be? String or undefined? That's not helpful. Validation and types. Will it auto client declared? Oh, so I don't need this unless I want it to be, unless I want to control it. So let's see if this works. Success, false. Authentication required. Invalid identifier or password. Okay, I have a hunch it's going to be that. Yeah, that was it. So no leading thing. Look at us go. Okay, so we are officially posting. Why is Post Malone coding? I look nothing like Post Malone. I'm like 9,000 face tattoos short of Post Malone. Let's see. No aliases or GUIs. Force yourself to type out the commands every time. Yeah, exactly. And like, I know Git far better than I think I should because I did the same thing. Yeah, this is something that like when I do tutorials as well, I'll tend to like encourage people like try to type this out. Like it's not the fastest thing to do, but the goal here isn't to go fast. The goal here is to internalize. So all right, so we are Man, we're cooking, y'all. Look at us go. So we have our bot posting. Let's go a little bit further here, and let's. How do we want this to work? So there are a handful of ways that we could make this function. I guess first and foremost, we can probably just start by trying to get. Let's try to get links and stuff working. So this will be plain text, like a default post. All right, now I'm going to duplicate that, and then I'm going to come up here and comment it out. And then down here, I want to do post with a mention, post with a link, post with an image, post with an embedded link preview. And then maybe post that's replying to something so that we can figure out how that works, and quote post. So those are all the things I'd like to figure out. So let's just kind of go down the line here and do them one at a time. So if we are posting and we want to mention, we're going to say this post will mention. Okay, so for that to work, we need to pull in the rich text stuff. And the rich text stuff is going to be, they have this like documented better somewhere else. Packages. API. Okay, so here's some rich text stuff. And this is going to, okay, so we start out with the rich text as its own thing. So I need to import this, don't I? So they're going to update that import. And this time, move this right up here. Okay, so then we're going to detect the facets. And we have to pass in our agent to do that. Okay. Then we're going to make a post record. And that post, what? I don't want to render it as markdown. I just want to post it. New rich text. Yeah, I think that stuff is all stuff I don't need to worry about. So we're going to instead say the text is going to be the rich text text. The facets are going to be the rich text dot facets. And I think that's all we need because both the type and the created at get done for us. So if I'm correct, let's see how that goes. So that should give us the mention and the link. And we'll be able to put them both two birds, one scone. So let's try that and see how it goes. All right, no errors. Back to our bot. There's our mention. And there's our link. Okay. Things are happening, everybody. We are making this work. So came in halfway, don't know what's going on. What we are attempting to do here is use the AT Proto API, which is the underlying protocol that powers Blue Sky, and we created a new Blue Sky account, and we're using that Blue Sky account programmatically. So basically, what we're doing right here is we have created a new post, right, for Blue Sky. And then because we did a mention and we had a link, we are, oh no, there's a spider. Hold on one second. I got to go get that. You know, when they're like too big to let live because you don't know where they're going to end up next. That was one of those. Sorry. But yeah, so we are, so far what we've done is we've done two posts. We posted this one, which was just straight up plain text. We've now posted this one, which has a mention and a website link. And now I'd like to figure out how to do an image. So let's take this and we're going to comment that out, and we're going to come down here and let's see if we can make this work. So to do an image, I think we're gonna have to be down here for this. Deploying your bot, creating a post, image embed. So you have to add this embed, and then there is, this image is like base 64 encoded. So I'm gonna need to convert an image over. Now, the way that my images work in the context that I'm gonna be doing is I put just about everything on Cloudinary. So if we go over to my blog and we say, we're gonna grab one of these. We were talking about this one earlier today. So let's grab this image address. And so that image address is gonna be here, right? That's what we're doing. That's what we're working on. And why don't we, it's like cropping in a weird way because I think I had these originally set up to be a slightly different height. So I just won't crop it, and that will be fine. So there's our image. And now what I need to do is I need to turn that into a base 64 encoded URL. So node turn get base 64 from image URL. There we go. Get image from web and encode with base 64. That is exactly what I'm trying to do. And so we are going to fire off an actual request. And what we get back, buffer from body to string base 64. Man, that is, I feel like that was written in a very like aggressive way. But so what we'll do is we'll do response is going to be await fetch image URL. Yes, and then if there's an image or an issue loading that, we're going to throw a new error. Able to load image. I guess we'll console.error the res.status text just so that we know why. Otherwise, what we'll do is we will get can I just I think it's just a is it an array buffer? Blob. They want a blob, right? So if I is there like a more modern way to do this? I don't want the Axios one. Fetch. So you get it as an array buffer. Yeah, that looks a little more like what I'm after. Also, why is the text so tiny? Okay. So this is no, or was it? This one. So this is what I'm currently doing. I just kind of stopped in the middle there. So this is going to be await array buffer. Okay. Then we're going to stringify that, and I don't even know if I sure equals buffer dot from buffer to string base 64. Okay, so what this just did is we're downloading the image, right? And then we take the data of that image and put it into an array buffer, which we then output as a base 64 string. So this is going to be kind of a big messy string. The next thing we need to do is we need to tell any interpreters how to use it, and the way that we'll do that is by putting the like signifying that it's a data blob or data URL, and then putting in the content type and the base 64 and the et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So I like that we just get the content type straight out. So content type equals, was it res dot headers dot get content type. I guess you're supposed to do those uppercase or lowercase. We'll go with lowercase. So then data URI becomes data. Content type. And then base 64 with a comma, and then we drop in this stringified buffer. Okay. Did everybody follow that? Because that was a whole lot of stuff really, really fast. And yeah, it's a lot. What's up, Nicola? How you doing? Thanks for joining. So actually, why don't we, let's just start. Let's console log back. Because that's a lot that just happened. And so let's yep, okay. So this is how you turn an image into text. And you can see it's kind of a large image, so there is a whole lot of data in here. And when you base 64 encode things, it actually makes things bigger, which is kind of ironic. But so we've got data, we did an image JPEG, we go base 64, and then it sends all of the bits, right? So that's how that actually works. And down here, what we're going to do then is now that we've got this data URI, we're going to use it to actually send it to Blue Sky. So we've got our convert data URI to uint array. Now, is that a built-in? Code. So with this one, we're getting the data URI, we're splitting. I already have the, oh my God. Binary string. What? Why are we getting it as a, why don't we just get the damn buffer then? Okay, so I think binary string dot length. So this takes the buffer, right? And then what I need, instead of doing all of what I was doing, so this is silly. So we don't actually need to stringify it. We need the buffer. But then we don't need oops. So we don't need it to be stringified anymore. We actually just need it to be a buffer. And then we don't need any of this crap because what we actually needed was the binary string. I guess we'll call this binary string new uint 8 array, and that is going to be buffer.length. And now why are we looping over that? I don't like the way that this is being done. It feels goofy. Whatever. We're going to make it work and then we'll make it better. What IDE do I use? I use VS Code. Yeah, exactly. Like it's funny because a lot of times we think of encoding as like inherently making something smaller, but depending on how you're encoding, it can make things way worse. So let's see. So this creates the array, but I don't really like that it. I feel like I should just be able to get these bytes because I already have the dang data. And I feel like this is a buffer array. Like this is a buffer array. So I think I can just pass in the buffer array. I'm gonna try that. We're gonna try that because I feel like I'm doing an array buffer. Array buffer to uint 8 array. Does that just work? I don't trust you. Convert an array buffer to that's bun though. So does that work in Oh, for Christ, that's it. That's all that's all we need to do is just turn it into uint 8 array, and I'm just going to pass in the array buffer. Then we didn't have to do any of that. So now that we have this, now we should be able to do the blue sky stuff. So that would mean we're going to say const data equals agent blob what was the encoding? Bro, you're killing me. Like, finish your examples. Can I leave out the encoding? If I don't put this in, either declare one or killing me. Killing me. Options. Woof. That gets us back to here, which is not. You know what? Let's just see what happens if I don't. Like, let's. What if I don't? How about that? Upload blob encoding. Oh, so the encoding is just the image type. Okay, that's fine. That I understand. So we can get the content type again. And that was res.headers.get, and we're going to get the content type. And now we've got the encoding. Just be normal. Whatever. Okay, so now we got our data. Do I need to await this? Yes, I need to await this. Okay, so then we get back out to our example. And so theoretically speaking then, we can go with await agent, it's trash day today. We're going to say text. This is a programmatic post with an image embed. And then we've got our embed. And that says we need a type. Okay. Then images is an array. And that needs an alt. And I think I can just grab the alts off the post. Probably. Hope I did that. And then here, no, here, yeah. Then we've got our image, which is going to be data.blob. We've got our aspect ratio, Do I have that? Width is going to be 1600. What is the size? $1,600 by 800. Okay. And that's it. Because the created app will get created for us. So, nothing up my sleeve here. I think that'll give us an image. And this is the big question, is whether we can just take this shortcut of straight from the array buffer to the uint8 array. And we're going to find out. Okay, no explosions. And we're posting images. Look at us go, everybody. We are absolutely killing it. We are ripping through these goals. So that, I mean, that's perfect. That's exactly what I wanted. That's exactly what I was after. And now we can probably wrap this one up into a little function. And we'll say function image URL to blob. And this is going to be the URL. All of this goes in here. And then we return the data. I don't know what that was. So then that needs to be async. Right. Then we can say and that'll be image URL to blob, and we're going to pass in the image URL. Yes. We are going to await that. Now we've got image one, and so instead of data, we're going to use image1.blob, right? And I guess we should try this again. Let's try a different image just to make sure that it works. So we'll jump back in here. $1,800. Okay. Oh, we need to actually use the URL that gets passed in. That would have been an embarrassing thing to get wrong. Sheesh. Okay, so then down here, we're going to say get the URL for image 2. Oh, in fact, let's try, you know what, while we're here, let's just, let's try this 2 image thing. Okay, so we got image URL 1, we got image URL 2. And then down here, we'll get our image 1 and our image 2. And we're going to do our image 1. We need to go get the alt text for this one. Then we can duplicate this. Do our image 2. And for our image 2, gotta go get our alt text. I always forget what that shortcut is on this keyboard. Okay, so those are our 2 images. And if we have done this right, we now have a utility function that's going to convert our image URLs into blobs, and we're going to prove that we can do multiple images in a single post. Let's find out. There it goes. It's doing the work. It looks like it did the work. And out here we have 2 posts. And you can see, oh, okay, well, we'll need to unquote things to make sure that those work properly, but that's fine. So that's perfect. We've got images. We can send multiple images. Very happy about that. And now right, we're cooking out here. So next up, let's embed the link preview. And to do the link preview, I have a hunch we're going to need this image URL. So we're going to drop all these out of here, but here's our helper function, our image URL, the blob. So let's get back into our examples. 2 images, that's fine. Website card embeds, that's what I want. So here, doing the same thing where we get our image from the post. So this one looks almost exactly the same, except we're going to say, go back out to the post. And so this one, we need the post. Actually, we should probably make sure this one's the same size. $1280 by $720 is the size that one's at. What are we even doing? Like, we're not even being completely ignored anyways. So that's our URL. All right, so we've got that, and then we'll get our image data is going to be image URL the blob with our image URL. Okay, so then out here, we want to const wait, nope, just agent wait, or wait agent. And in this one, we're going to say text is a post with a website embed. And let's do the embed. This one is a type of external. So there's our external. Okay, so this one's got a title. It's got a description. Got the URI. It's got the thumb. And the thumb was just the image data blob, right? Oh, we have to await that. Yes. Okay. So URI, we need, and this is all stuff that we'll be pulling out programmatically once we get the rest of the system together. And I think that'll work. Let's try it. Oh my goodness. Gorgeous out here. Look at this. I love this. I'm I'm thrilled at how like pleasant this is. This is great. So then post that's replying. So let's get a reply done. We're gonna do that. Let's go to replies. So we do replies. Okay. That's great. Okay, so to find the post URI, and the post URI needs to be its AT proto URI, which we get that how? It's like that's not up there. No. How do you get one of these? Let's see. Is it in here somewhere? Link rel alternate. There it is. No. Account DID. So that's probably my account DID. And then the post, that looks like the post. So it's like AT, and you drop in the did, and then get that thing, and then you come out here, and then you do one of those, and I think that's the thing. And so in this case, we're going to use this one as both the root and the one we're replying to. And let's, yeah, let me get this. I see a couple questions in the chat, so let me get this part done, and then we'll do some questions. Is it 11? Yeah, we got time. So we are going to. How the hell do I get the content hash? Like, how does one get that? That doesn't make any sense. Like, do I need to provide that? Immediate parent and the original root post, but how the hell? The record embedded here is the post that's getting quoted. Yeah, that's fine. Okay, whatever. We're gonna see what happens. Agent.post, and then there's text, and the text is gonna be I like this post. Okay, and then we'll say reply, and the root is going to be the URI, which is the post URI. But how the hell do you get the CID? Like, that just seems like a lot to have to retrieve. Yeah, it's not being dropped in the... So do I have to like pull the... Do I have to like get the post? A strong reference. Sure. I get it. How does one get that? If I just want to find like a single post. And it needs to be the URI. So if I have the URI, res equals await fetch, and we're going to fetch killing me. Show me examples, please. Holy buckets. Reading a post, that's yeah. Get started. What is your actual... Does anybody know this? Do they have a way to get the CID? Agent get post. Oh, Jesus. Repo. The record key? Sure. Let's see if this works. Here's the did. And R key. Man, what did I just swallow? Oh, we got information. And of course I can't copy paste it because why? Man, something got caught like all the way in my throat. Help. Just want the text, please. All right. Nicola found something. So we're going to go try. You can't find the identity which created this post from just the record. You need other metadata from the commit message on the event stream. What? Wow. Man, you know when you the thing that's really hard about new technology is when people understand it so deeply that they would think a sentence like this makes sense. Right? Because this is wildly dense. Cache things. Why would I cache? I don't want to cache things. I want to reply to a dang post. Hey, yeah. I admit I understand maybe 50%. That same, bro. Um and the identity. Well, but I don't want to. It's also really frustrating that they don't just like give you this stuff. So they put the CID here. I guess I mean the other thing too is like it's very unlikely that I would actually be replying to anything in the way that I'm planning on using this. Now I kind of want to figure it out on principle, but it, for my particular use case, I actually doubt I'll be doing anything with this. So let's turn that off and let's instead just console log the post and let's see what comes back when I try this. My hunch is it's going to break. Didn't break. It just worked. Neat. Okay, that's cool. So that means that we get the URI and we get the CID, and now we can do stuff. Okay, good. Then that's actually all we needed. So then we can come back here. Bro, why not just put that in the response? Like this code sample is 3 lines of dang code. There you go. Okay. Anyways, sheesh. So then we have the URI. We post URI. CID is going to be post CID, and then the same will be true for the parent. We can literally copy paste this. Okay, so then all of those things being true, we are then able to go back to posts, look at these replies. That's everything we needed. Okay, let's try again. And now out here. Okay, we get the post. Good. So then in here, we can do this again. And we don't actually need this part. We'll call this one the root. And then we'll duplicate it. We'll call this one the parent. And now we should, theoretically speaking, be able to do that. Should reply to our other reply. And it did. Okay. So now we're getting like threads and all the things. Okay. So replies work. Good. Happy with that. And then quote post is the last thing that we wanted to do. And to do a quote post, I think this was basically the same thing. It's just the URI CID. So we can do text. We do the embed. It's an embed record. Okay. So we will let's copy that before we get it out. And in this case, it's just going to be the one record. So This one's going to be our record. And then instead of a reply, we use an embed. And it's going to have a type of record. Okay. So theoretically speaking, now we have one of everything. Okay. So we've hit all of our goals here. We've got the ability now to do posts that have quotes, posts that have replies. Have I been double posting? Yeah, I sure have. Got our little helper buddy out here. Yeah, I basically spammed that, didn't I? But okay, we're feeling good. We've got a lot going on here. I think this is great. So that's like thing one done. We can now do whatever type of post we want to do programmatically to Blue Sky. Very happy with that. It's 11:25. Let's look at the comments here. Got some questions. Just started learning React. Awesome. I'm using VS Code. Yes, thank you. And how do I know when I'm skilled and confident enough to start applying for jobs and freelancing work? You'll never feel ready, so just if you feel like you can do the job, right? Like if it's something that you've built before, then why wouldn't you be able to do it, And the trick about freelancing is that freelancing has such a broad spectrum. Like somebody will hire a freelancer to like convert an Excel spreadsheet into JSON, which is more or less data entry. It's not necessarily a highly challenging thing. And sometimes they'll hire a freelancer to like build the most intense systems. And that's really, really hard, right? So I think looking for jobs that feel like what you can comfortably do and looking at what you've built, what kind of stuff are you working on? What kind of stuff are you building? And also that will kind of inform the sorts of clients that would be willing to hire you in the first place. We showed an image of it a minute ago. Your career is a pie eating contest where the prize for winning is more pie. So whatever you're putting out into the world is what people are going to ask you for. And in kind of looking at what you've been working on, what you've created, then I would say be mindful of sort of what's the image you're putting out into the world. But if you've already built something, then you're definitely qualified to build it again. If you've built something that is 90% of a thing, you can probably figure out that last 10% on the job. I probably wouldn't go more than 10% though. I think I've made some pretty bad mistakes in my career, especially early on, where I took things on there were a lot of unknowns, and that led to me it took me so long to figure things out. Everything was new. And I think I was frustrated. My clients were frustrated, and it probably didn't reflect super well on my business. So 10% is great because 10% is you doing mostly what you know and then stretching yourself. And then every single project, 10% becomes a much bigger amount. If you can do 10 things and you do 10%, that's now 11 things that you can do. And then the next time it's like still, it's like 1.1, right? But then you can now it's 12.2 and then it's 13.4. I don't know exactly how that math starts to go, but before that long, you're doing a lot, right? And your tolerance for risk of like what's 10% more than I know, it really does kind of come up. It goes up, and your combined experience makes the learning curve shallower. So you'll never feel ready, but if you're doing something that you've done before, you're ready. Um, can you tell me which are JavaScript build tools? What's the main differences among them? That's honestly, there's great YouTube videos out there that do a breakdown of the differences between JavaScript build tools. So I'm not going to try to do it here because I'd leave out too many details. But what are they? JavaScript build tools are a way for us to package the code that we've written for delivery, and what that ultimately means is you're going to write code that is not the code that you ultimately deliver to the browser. And a lot of times that's done because we want to add polyfills, we want to add compatibility layers. You just want to like minimize the code so that there's white space removed and variable name shortened and stuff, just to reduce the overall size of the code. Lots and lots of things that you can do to, but mostly though, what a build tool is doing is trying to optimize what you've built to be the most compatible, the smallest possible size. And in a perfect world, it's, eliminating things that didn't get used and making sure that the browser is only loading what it should be loading. A lot of stuff that you can do manually, but is not very pleasant to do manually. As far as which ones are best, it depends on what you're building. It always depends. And this is a consistent and frustrating part of being a developer, is that there's no such thing as a best tool. That most of the tools are pretty good at the thing they were designed to do. So your job as a developer is to learn what they were built to do, and not try to grab a tool that doesn't do the job that you're expecting it to do. Because then of course you're going to think the tool is bad, but it's like trying to use a hammer to screw in a screw. It doesn't make sense. You got to reach for the tool that's right for the job you're trying to do. Let's see here. You can, in fact, just do things. Can we have a live session in the Elite Heat code videos? I don't know what you mean. I have a really nice wrench that I use a hammer. Fair. You can use tools in creative ways to get different results. I think that's totally fine. But if you're expecting them to be great at the thing you're misusing them for, that can be kind of frustrating. Let's see. You can develop, but you're feeling like you're not ready to publish, or if the security is not enough. What if something went wrong? Look, if you're not handling people's data, just ship it, right? If you built a website and you're just trying to get something out on the web, just ship it. The only reason to worry about security is if people are giving you data that could get stolen. Like if somebody's putting in their credit card numbers or putting in their personal details, sure, really you need to worry about security. But if you're like putting up a personal web page and it's data and everything that you're doing is something that you're published in a GitHub repo, who cares? It doesn't matter, right? Just publish it. There'll always be things that you could do better. There will always be things that somebody could point out and say like, oh, why didn't you think of this? But ultimately, it's better to have something on the internet than to not have something on the internet, because A, you can't get that feedback if nobody can see it. And B, if you're trying to get it perfect, it never will be. And every week, somebody's releasing something that will make a small improvement to something that you've worked on before. And it could, do an optimization. It could be a new format. It could be a new bundler. It could be some update to TypeScript. All of those things will continue to be true, and you don't need any of them, right? You can opt into any of them because sometimes it's nice to use the latest code, but ultimately it doesn't matter, because if you're putting something up on the internet and it's not dealing with sensitive personal data, there's nothing to secure, right? It's data that was already public on GitHub. So, what are you worried about? If you're like, security is one of those things that is important to learn about, But it's also important to remember that there are things that don't need to be secure, right? Like you want to be secure in the sense that um, most hosts now will automatically get you an SSL certificate. But honestly, you don't need an SSL certificate if all you're doing is having somebody read your blog. Because if they're not sending requests through your site, then there's nothing to like man in the middle attack, anyways. So that SSL cert is great. It's good. It's amazing that they give them to us for free now. But it's not necessary for reading a blog, right? It is necessary if you are putting in an email to sign up for a newsletter, right? But there's don't let the fear that like somebody might hack it keep you from publishing if there's nothing to hack. Like do the assessment of like what data do you have on this site that somebody can't find by viewing source. And if the answer is none, don't worry about it. It's fine. Um, Something you're learning from languages. If you're trying to learn, you want projects that are about 60 to 70% known, 30 to 40% unknown. Won't be easy, but you'll learn a lot. And if you want ease and confidence, you want 90% or more known. You won't learn as much, but you know that you can get it done well, and in a reasonable time. And yeah, I think this is really for personal projects. I like jumping into something that I barely understand. It's fun for me to kind of wait around and figure out how things work. I'd never done any of this AT Proto stuff before today, and it was very like a lot of it's familiar because I know how to make API calls and I know how JavaScript works, and you know that's not new, but all the AT Proto stuff was. And I feel like I learned a lot because we did things the hard way. We did it slow. We wrote it out by hand. Now, if it was a client project, I think that falls within my 10%. You know, I think it does. But if I was doing a personal project, I had a little more time, maybe I would try to like build my own personal data server. And I probably wouldn't offer to do that for a client unless I built one for myself first, because there's a lot of unknown unknowns. I don't know what happens when you boot up that project. Like, do I have to start spinning up a bunch of servers? Do I have to provision a bunch of different services? What are the things that we have to do to keep them healthy and like resilient when things start getting busy? I have none of those answers, right? So I probably wouldn't offer that to a client. I wouldn't accept money to do it until I had built one myself to get a sense of what I was in for, right? So for personal projects, when you're just trying to learn, make it difficult. For business projects, when you are trying to deliver value to somebody in exchange for money so you can pay your bills, be a little more conservative in your estimates. Like don't assume you can figure out 50% of a project on the fly, because you're going to end up missing deadlines, you're going to end up pissing off the customer, and you're going to end up hurting your reputation as a freelancer. Personal stuff, whatever. I've got things that I haven't shipped for years because I made it way too hard. And so I just tinker a little bit here and there, and eventually someday maybe I'll ship it, but I don't care because that's not the point. The point is to learn, not to, you know, nobody's expecting this. Nobody even knows I'm working on it. I'm just trying to learn something. And so it doesn't matter if I'm way behind schedule or if it's way harder than I thought. Um, and being able to differentiate that is really, really important, I think. Um, let's see. Yeah, work computers don't like sites without an SSL cert. Exactly. Like if you don't add an SSL cert, that's you're probably going to cause problems for yourself. But they are basically free. And like Jacob's saying, like Modern Infra does a lot of the hard parts for you. So the basics are there. Like you'll get an SSL cert. You are, you know, by default, you're not really shipping anything that would be insecure. So unless you're doing something where you're accepting data, you can anytime you start accepting data or you're dealing with user stuff, you're creating problems that you need to make sure are secure. But by default, when you just say like, here's my blog and you put it on the internet, there's not a lot of security you need to worry about if you're shipping it to Netlify or Cloudflare or Flight.io or whatever. Um, Things going wrong is the best way to learn. I do agree with that. That is absolutely great. If it's not good but perfect, ship it. Yep, I do love that as well as a general approach. Um, okay. Let's see if we can. What would be the best way to do this next step? So if I want let's state the actually, you know what? This is a good point. Let me pull this up. SSL isn't security for your platform; it's security for your user. That's a good call out. If I misstated that, I apologize. When you add SSL, it's so that people can't spy on the requests they send to your website. And the reason I was saying that it's not important if you're not having any user interaction is they're not sending anything to your website. They're just saying, I want to look at this link. I want to look at this link. And the SSL is to prevent somebody from saying like, oh, I've got your request and I'm going to like do sneaky stuff with it in the middle, like redirect your credit card to my thing. Anyways, SSL is free. You should just do it. Maybe not the best example for me in saying not to worry about it. The point is, if you're not doing anything user sensitive, just don't get too bogged down. Like learn and try to make it better, but don't let it like freeze you up. So let's think this through. What I would like to happen is I would like to have a way that if I do something or publish something or put something into a certain place, I would like for that thing to get shared. And it feels like this is going to start turning into building my own buffer, which I don't really want. What I want is like an activity feed that can post over to Blue Sky. But it would also be nice if that activity feed lived somewhere. Like so Adam Argyle, I think he was here earlier. I don't know if he's still around, but I really like the way that Adam did his site because it's set up as like a feed, right? So today, the episode of Web Dev Challenge went live. Adam is on it, and so he put up a post that he's like, "Here it is," and it's a link to go watch that. Then here's a video. Here's a note, right? And then like a note about how the site was built. Go back. Blog post, note. So it's basically like, whatever he's doing. He's on Shop Talk, this somebody else's website. He went on what is this? Smashing Meats. So it's like any of the things that Adam is doing are being dropped into this post as like or into this feed as kind of like stuff that I'm doing around the web, which I don't have. I've been on a bunch of podcasts recently. I don't know where they are. Like I'd have to go dig to find where those posts are. I can't just go to one place and say like, "Hey, what have I done today?" or "What have I done recently?" and like find a feed. So I would like to have that feed, and whenever I add something new to that feed, I would like to at least have the option to have that thing get posted automatically when I add it. And so I think the way that I would like for that to work is like does it live out here? Is it a blog thing, or is it like an activity thing that maybe lives somewhere else? Like I don't know. Does it? I could probably start it as a standalone and see how it all works, but oh, nice! You listened to the free code camp one. Yeah, that one was fun. Quincy is a fun guy to talk to. Does Blue Sky have an API? He does, and I don't know why I gendered Blue Sky. Blue Sky does have an API, and it is what we've been using all day. So that is the AT Proto thing here. This is what we've been using is the AT Proto API, which is kind of the underlying thing that powers Blue Sky. And so through that, we're able to do things like make these posts. You can do these through plain old HTTP requests and like hit an API endpoint if you'd like. I find these types of SDKs are helpful because it did things like we don't have to provide a type and a timestamp because it defaults to the type of post, or what is it, bsky feed post something, and it defaults to now for the created at time, which is great because I don't want to have to manually add all that stuff. It's kind of nice to not have to deal with that on my own. So, or it's nice to not have to deal with that on my own. If my site already implements an RSS feed, what a fabulous idea that I'm pretty sure mine doesn't right now. I think I broke it when I did. I sure did. I broke my RSS feed. Yeah. So no RSS feed for me yet. But it's also not exactly what I'm after, because like I would want the blog, like what I really like about the way Adam's done this is that there are blog posts. So like if you come in here and you look at a blog post, this is actually not here. It lives at its own place, right? And then, a note, this just lives here. There's no real, oh, this is cool. He's got the comments and stuff. So this is all the kind of like, these are the pieces that are really interesting to me. And like when you click through, oh wow, look at that. That's cool. I like the way this is done. Oh dang, he did like a whole write-up on this. This is awesome. I thought, wait, did he do this as a blog post? Oh, he did. So this is a blog post. Okay. So, but so basically, like, there's the blog, but then there's also the stuff that's not the blog. Like, there's these notes and like a talk, and there's a show, and there's like open source work. Like, this is all really cool stuff that I don't have a lot that I would be able to share out here, but like, this is pretty slick that he can just throw up this quick little note instead of having to do a whole blog post about it, right? Little stuff like that would make life easier, I think. So I think the way that I would approach it is maybe start thinking about, what are the content types that I have, and what would my activity feed look like if I were to do something like this, and what then is the mechanism that I would use to post them. Like, is this going to be, what was that? Oh, that's the observable notebook. So then the other question I have is, like, if I come down, there's like 9 million things. So we get here. Look at this, nerdy.dev. In here somewhere? Maybe not. I wanted to see how he did it. Like if it was a... No, okay, that one must not be public, but yeah, I'm curious if that is done with like, is this some kind of an JSON feed? Is this manual? Is it something else? I don't know, but that could be, yeah, blocked by a CMS is also a possibility, or backed by a CMS, I should say. Web mention stuff. I don't see, yeah, there's like nothing. Yeah, nothing that appears to be CMSE. So whatever he's doing, it's like custom something or other. Nice, that's cool. Okay. So anyways, the like I can approach this a lot of different ways. What I'm immediately leaning toward is maybe I could do like a content type in Astro. It's just sort of like activity, and then things would be dropped in and there'd be a few available types, and then I could just like add more types, and that would give me the ability to do this more or less. And then the cool thing is if I do it as a content type, I could include like post text so that when I drop one in, it would pick up the post text and use that to share it. So that way it's also not like a bot that says like a new post has been posted. It would be something else. Let's see. So am I still using Sanity? I do still use Sanity. And yes, I could do that. I don't use Sanity for everything though. I use Sanity for video. So we'd have to think a little bit about exactly how that works and whether it's worth moving everything in, which my hunch is that it's not, because it's like one more thing to deal with. Can I tell my story? I've told my story a few times pretty recently. Probably the easiest one would be on this. Which one was it that I really like broke down the story on? This is why I need an activity feed, because I could just go look at it and say, oh yeah, it was this one. But I can't remember where it was. Crap. I mean, the short version is I've done a lot of jobs, and I've worked at just about every role, from agency work to tech executive at startup to front end architect at somewhere like IBM. And my best advice is just try to do the things that make you happy and that you find like challenging in a good way. Because if you're always pursuing the things that are interesting and that kind of spark your curiosity and that are fun, then you are far more likely to do well, to have the persistence to stick through hard problems. And it also sends a signal to the people around you that that's the kind of work you want to do, because again, the career is a pie eating contest where the prize for winning is more pie. So the types of work you do are the types of work you will be continued to get asked to do. And if you I don't think that was really a sentence that I just said, but you get the gist. If you do, I don't know. I mean, the thing that's hard about giving advice is that no advice that is tactical is applicable. My story is my story because I lived it. I was in a certain time. I had certain circumstances and certain connections and all these different things that made my particular actions very unique. And the things that worked for me, if you were to do them step by step, probably wouldn't work for you. But the qualities that I try to embody and the approach that I try to take, I do think will work for everybody, which is generally try to do really good work in a way that is net positive for everybody around you. There's this quote that I'm going to butcher right now, but I love it. It's, you can use your candle to light 10,000 additional candles, and it doesn't impact the brightness from your own candle's light, right? And I think about that one a lot as a general sense of, if you are constantly out there trying to give away what you know, try to teach people things, try to help people, show them some trick you've learned, give them an advantage, a leg up, an intro, whatever it is. Like, don't play it close to the vest. Be the most helpful person around. Be the, be a good friend. And if you take that approach, if you're doing good work, if you're always trying to learn, you're always trying to grow, and you're somebody who is always making a good faith effort to like improve the lives of everybody around you, it is really, really difficult to fail. Um, I don't know. I know very, very, very few people who I would say are like genuinely awesome, engaged, uh, curious, and loving people that like don't have dream roles. You know, if you stick to it and you keep doing the thing and you're somebody that people want to be around and you treat people in a way that, imagine that your career is going to be 40 years long because most of them are, right? Like you're going to work from your 20s into your 60s. Uh, you you're going to see a lot of the same people if you stay in the same industry, and if you just imagine that every interaction, you don't know who that person is going to go on to become or what jobs they'll have in the future or what connections they're going to have. Um, and more importantly, there's never really a good reason to not treat somebody well, right? So if you go through life and you just try to imagine that the people you're meeting are potential friends and not assets or business card names that you can write down or whatever it is that you're thinking in terms of like cold networking. Think of them as new friends. People that you, when you see them, you're going to be excited to see them. You'll go get a cup of coffee. You'll catch up on what you've been working on. You'll tell each other stories about where you've been, what you've been doing. Um, Talk about the things you have in common, and then maybe you'll have some kind of business thing that you want to discuss, or you'll just see them at the next conference or the next company event, or online somewhere. And that sort of approach is it just kind of it's just a really, really effective approach, right? And it feels very slow because it's never like you can't force it. You can't go be somebody's friend really fast. You just got to, remain around, remain active, remain kind and friendly, and the opportunities to overlap with somebody emerge. You can't force it. You can't slam into somebody's DMs and be like, "Be my friend, be my friend." But if you are in a community and you're paying attention, there'll be opportunities. Like you can get onto a video call with the Discord, and like there's a bunch of people in there. It's a chance for you to talk and like become a face that somebody knows. And you just there's all these little things that add up to really, really big impacts. And you'll see it happen if you start looking around in the industry. Look for the people who are consistently kind and helpful and proactive. Like they'll be present. You'll see them everywhere. And just watch what happens in 2 years because they're going to be doing better. They're going to be at a cool job. They're going to have a promotion. They're going to do whatever it is. And they're going to be doing that surrounded by a bunch of people that they've made friends with. And a lot of folks look at that like it's magical, like it's, they've got some skill that I don't have, but it's genuinely go be a friend, right? Be a friend and be curious and be proactive, build stuff, do things, because that will always, always, always give you something to talk about. It gives you something to share and to teach. It gives you an excuse to give a conference talk or show up at a local meetup with a little demo. And if you're doing that in combination with just being a kind person, it's gonna work out. Like I promise you, it's gonna work out. Um, Yeah, COVID made it really hard. Like it's definitely challenging. The free code camp one had a lot of the story. Okay, let me try to find this free code camp one. And let's see. Is this it? Oh, no, that's definitely not it. That's the video call that I was on. Free code camp. There we go. Here's that's a really long link. If you're in the Discord, there's a links thing. There's a bot Aiden built that whenever I post in Twitch chat, it puts that link into the Discord. So if you are in the Discord, you can get that those links without having to copy paste them here. What if I use JSON to push the data you want to Blue Sky? I think that's what is ultimately going to happen. The trick is thinking through where is that JSON stored? Like where does it live? And is that going to be like, am I going to build a little mini app? Am I going to put it into Sanity? Am I going to do something else with it? I don't have a good answer for that right now. So that's something I'm going to think about, and maybe we'll dig into that next time. But for right now, we are out of time. So let me put together a get ignore here. And we're going to ignore node modules. We're going to .env. Duplicate this. Okay, and then I need to go roll that app password. What do we got in here? What else is going on? I think that's it. So let's git add everything. We are going to GitHub repo create. And we're going to call it AT Proto Test Automation. Yup. And we're going to say get all types of posts built out and tested. All right, so now there's going to be, for anybody who is interested, the code is up now. Here we go. So if anybody wants to go and play with this themselves, they can do that. I'm going to go kill this password while I'm thinking about it. Okay. And we've done it. Okay. So that is, I think, a successful, I'm feeling pretty good about that. We've got the site for the core bits to allow posting to Blue Sky programmatically. So then the next thing that we'll do, maybe in the next stream or who knows when, we will want to figure out where we would put an activity feed, and then we'll want to have some way to periodically check that, whether that's going to be some kind of a webhook thing or whether that would be a cron job where it's going to like check to see if there are new posts. And if they are there, we will want to grab out the data, and then we'll probably need some way of storing whether or not it's been posted so that we are able to not double post. So little bit of architectural stuff we'll have to think through on how we want to make that work and how we do that in a way that doesn't feel rickety. I have some ideas. Maybe we, honestly, if you haven't watched the new Web Dev Challenge, we used temporal in that. Maybe we try it with temporal. See what we can figure out. But yeah, until then, we got some good stuff coming up on Thursday. We are going to be learning design systems from the one and only Brad Frost. So this is going to be a lot of fun. Brad's got a new course out on design systems, so he's got a lot to say on the subject. And if you are thinking that you don't need a design system or that you're not interested in this, what I find really interesting about Brad's work is that he's sort of at the bottom of what a lot of people are building, and his thinking has informed a lot of the way that people build like component libraries and stuff like Tailwind and ShadCN and these sorts of things are all sort of influenced by the work that folks like Brad have done. So this is going to be a great post if you want to get a good understanding of how the sausage is made on a design system and why the component system you use at work is made the way that it's made. Probably, potentially some good ways to get some insights there. All that being said, you can find information on that episode here. Let me drop that one in the chat, and That's all I got. That's all I got, y'all. I'm gonna go like eat some lunch, and thanks for hanging out. We'll see you on Thursday.